Alright, so today we will be talking about how to name a covalent compound. These are also known as molecular compound, and they mean the same thing. So if you see either of these words pop up, if you're looking in your book or on a test or quiz or anything like that, just know that covalent and molecular mean the same thing. And essentially what they mean is that we are taking a nonmetal and we are going to be combining it with another nonmetal. So go ahead and flip to level 4 in your notes if you haven't gone there yet. But like I said, we're naming covalent compounds and we're combining nonmetals with other nonmetals. So if you look below, I've written 5 examples of covalent compounds. And like I said, we've got nonmetals combined with each other. And we're going to start out by looking at our formula here and writing out the names of each of these formulas. So we'll first write the nonmetal written with a prefix that has to match its subscript. So on all of these we've got subscripts 1 to 10, but when we were writing these out, when we're writing their names, each number correlates with a different prefix. So I'll write those real quick. We have mono, which is the subscript of 1. We've got di, the subscript 2. We've got tri, which is a subscript of 3. Tetra, the subscript of 4. Penta, which is the subscript of 5. Hexa, which is a subscript of 6. Hepta, subscript of 7. Octa, subscript of 8. Nona, subscript of 9. And deca is a subscript of 10. So when we're writing these out and we see a subscript, then we're going to use one of these prefixes. Now the only exception to this is if we're writing out a compound, the name of a compound, we will never use mono in the first nonmetal. So for example, when we're writing out PF5, we're going to call this phosphorus, then we go over here, we have fluorine, which we're going to put the suffix of "ide" on it, but we're going to use the prefix of penta because we have 5 fluorine molecules inside of our compound of PF5. So it's going to be pentafluoride. Alright, and notice we didn't use that prefix of mono at the beginning of our first one. Our second one, we write our nonmetal first, so we have nitrogen. And then we have 2 oxygens here. We go over here, we see di is the prefix for 2, so we have dioxide. For the next one, again we just have 1 nitrogen, so nitrogen. And this time we have 3 oxygens, so we have trioxide. For this one, we have 5 phosphoruses at the very beginning. So we know if we only have 1, we don't put the mono on it for right now. But we will write out its prefix since it is not 1. So we have penta, phosphorus, decoxide. And if we have an element in our compound here that begins with a vowel like oxygen, we aren't going to put deca oxide. We're just going to say decoxide. So we've got pentaphosphorus decoxide. And last, we have carbon. And again, now we have one oxygen, but it's the second element in our compound, so we can use our prefix of mono. So we have carbon monoxide. And that is pretty much it from going from our compound to our actual name of our compound. Alright, so now we will be doing the opposite. We're going to start with the name of our compound and we are going to write out the formula. So this is pretty easy. We're just basically doing the reverse of what we've already done. So for this first one, we have dinitrogen. So we know we're going to have two nitrogens. Pentoxide. Oxide, we know we're going to have oxygen. If we look over, we see that pent is our subscript of 5. For our next one, we see phosphorus and we see di as our prefix, so we know we have a subscript of 2. And then we have heptafluoride, fluoride being a fluorine, and hepta giving us a subscript of 7. Next we have carbon dioxide. You'll see this one a lot. But we just see carbon with no prefix, so we know we only have one carbon. Oxide being oxygen, and di with a subscript of 2. And the last one, we have silicon and bromine. Silicon having a prefix of tetra, giving us 4 silicons, and bromine with a prefix of octa, giving us 8 bromines. And that's pretty much it for naming covalent compounds. Just know that if you have 2 nonmetals, it's going to be covalent, and you'll need to know all of these prefixes in order to name a covalent compound.